Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I am beyond excited to be back with this special edition of Revenue Hacks and the first episode of 2023. My name is Rita Varga, and I'm the founder and CEO of RaizUp, and also the founder and producer of Revenue Hacks. Although I've been most of the time behind the camera as part of these almost 4 years now. Revenue Hacks is an industry game changer live show by RiseUp that aims to tackle serious topics around the hospitality industry. We share best practices, tell stories from the industry, and aim to turn complicated ideas into simple concepts. We make it our job for every episode to deconstruct an area of the industry and invite the most fascinating guests, people who are excellent, if not the best, at the what they do in their field. We welcome everyone, boys, girls, robots, aliens, other time travelers. You can also find all the episodes and previous episodes from the last 4 years here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and of course on WeRiseUp.com. After some heavy years in social distancing, now you can also find us at some major global in-person events, such as some of the events organized by these excellent professionals. Now, after a well-deserved break by the end of 2022, here we are coming back with our first edition, special edition to celebrate Global Revenue Forum. Global Revenue Forum is a unique cooperation and collaboration between three of the leading European revenue management consultancies, revenue management conference organizers, Revenue by Design from the UK, Hotel Performance from Italy, and Taktikon Consultancy from Sweden. On January 31st, we celebrate the one-day event where the event supports and unifies the revenue management community and hospitality community, offering an exclusive gathering of over 2,000 revenue management leaders in London, Milan, Stockholm, and of course, making it accessible online to watch from everywhere in the world. Today, here with me in the studio, I welcome, first of all, Ellie Northfield, founder and CEO of Revenue by Design, Emanuele Nardin, founder of Hotel Revenue Forum and director at Hotel Performance, and of course, the lovely Annemarie Gubanski, founder and CEO of Taktikon Consultancy. Good afternoon, all of you.
Hi. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining. So we welcome also you, the audience, to join the conversation. So please hit the comment section because you are shaping the conversation with us. During the show, make sure you check the screen because we have an exclusive 20% discount for you. And if you are staying until the end of the show, the person with the most comments is getting access to either one of the destination of choice or gets an all the way online access to Global Revenue Forum. So enough of the introduction. Let's kick and dive into the subject. I'm turning to you, Ellie, who has been part of the original crew from 2020. So first of all, you are some, if not the most acknowledged revenue management consultants in Europe. How did the idea of collaboration came about? And why do you think it's important to work together and create this community?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Rita, for inviting me. It's absolutely thrilling to be back. It sort of brings back lots of memories, if nothing else. So week after week in lockdown, it was great. So collaboration, actually, the idea of it came through lockdown as well, primarily because as individual companies, we used to do conferences very close to each other at the beginning of the year, where the main objective from, I think, from all three of us was to really give the revenue management community a pathway for the year ahead in terms of what was likely to happen. So I contacted Annemarie and said, look, this is going to be really challenging for all of us. post-lockdown, and equally, I just feel like if we would try to do it on our own, we wouldn't really achieve what we wanted to achieve. And so Annemarie agreed that it would be a good idea to come together to create community. And then I contacted Emanuele, who I really didn't know at the time very well at all. And he agreed too. And then we started this amazing journey of trying to bring 3 companies together with very, very aligned objectives, definitely. And that wasn't a problem. It was more kind of like just trying to get the technology together, because a lot of it was, well, we tried 3 dates for a start. So that was a challenge because we kept on getting lockdowns in different areas. And then the technology was challenging because we needed to provide the online community at that time, which was far more important, as you can imagine. They had to have some decent tech, and but the whole thing really was to really bring together the different cultures and communities across different geographies, because what works in revenue management in one country will work in the same way, but often we don't get access to it. So that's kind of why we did it. So yeah, all good.
Oh, nice. And now you managed to create this community. It's if I understand correctly, the second of its edition.
Yeah.
And what did you see, or what do you see so far specifically that is common for each destination versus it's very unique to the destination?
I think the one thing that we're finding is that the customer has changed quite significantly post coming out of COVID. Like value-based propositions are far more important. So being able to understand what drives a customer in terms of their own personal values. I think people found out a lot about themselves over COVID. You know, what was really important, whether it was family, the type of work that they did, their main life objectives. And we came out of COVID and people were saying, I want an experience. And I was like, what on earth does that mean? I have no clue. But it's actually becoming like really clear now that a lot of this concept of experience is very much a case of, I want to do business with companies that understand what drives me. And if I can see a company is at least trying that, even if it's something to do with the environment or social change or inclusion, as long as a company can be seen to be driving themselves in the same direction as the guests, then I think that that's the one thing that's really changed, and that's what we're trying to do. Certainly within this, you can see pockets of the agenda are trying to address that in each of the 3 locations. So for me, that's super important and really exciting as well.
Thank you so much. Annemarie, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think I agree with Ali. What you see is the personalization is a very big trend. Automation at the same time as well, especially when you see that the whole industry actually has a lack of employees. There's just like lack of pair of hands, pair of brains. And they need to be faster. They need to deliver the same, maybe even better quality than what they did before, because it needs to be personalized. And you need to do that with less people. So that is one of the things that has really come out of COVID much stronger than before. I think also a lot of things just like remain. There's still this issue of rate parity, the OTAs, but you see also that the role of revenue management is changing, I think, much more rapidly. We're changing much more rapidly into going into digital marketing and having to go to total and profit revenue management and these kinds of questions.
So, that's very interesting, because throughout COVID, it was more looking like it goes into a commercial role, and it is more because of the lack of personal and the need of personalization of automation. It goes into the digital field much more.
I think actually it was already a question prior to COVID, but you see that it's accelerated now. We really need to have like a good commercial strategy. During COVID, for a lot of our hotels, and I don't really know if Ali and Emanuele see the same thing in your areas, but then direct bookings has increased, which is also just like for us that we see the possibility that we can actually just like broaden our distribution network. And a revenue manager, as we just like are so very much into distribution questions, digital marketing is much more a part of it, but than what it was pre-COVID. Having said that, pre-COVID, there also was a very big need from revenue management to understand.
Yeah, of course, it escalated. And then, so the event will be visible online and accessible online to everyone. But you each chose kind of then within that big umbrella a theme for yourself, for your own communities.
Yeah, for us, we chose that this year we don't have a specific topic. What we want to do with the Revenue Forum in Stockholm is actually just like to raise all the questions that we think are the main questions at this moment. So get ready for the new year, get ready for 2023. So one of our topics is going to be like the inflation. How is that going to influence hotel industry? One thing is, okay, it gets much more expensive for us, but also our travelers are having less money. How is that going to influence travel? So future of travel is also one of the topics. But we also see that the sustainability is a very, 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 very big question. First of all, how do you become a good leader? How can you attract people to want to work in the hotel industry? But also it's like, how can maybe we try to save nature with, even though we are hotels, what can we do to actually just like decrease, the impact of human beings on what we do on the planet right now?
Don't you think, and it's just diving into this topic a little bit, don't you think that in my mind it's a little bit contradictory, right? Because when we are talking about sustainable choices, it often sounds more expensive because it is sustainable. Yet your budget is lower and your customers' budget is lower. How does, in your perspective, that come together?
Well, I mean, I've been working with one of the larger chains here in Stockholm, Scandic. They were one of the first to just like raise sustainable questions, and not because they wanted to save the planet, they wanted to save money. And I think actually you should look at it that way as well. I mean, if you can save water spending, electricity spending, I don't know, the way you handle your food, anything like that, it actually is part of the sustainable questions, and it is also part of the fact that you can actually, by being sustainable, just like increase profitability.
Yeah. Anybody else thoughts on sustainability versus the new customer and the new customer?
Well, mainly I was thinking that if we look at the data, you were telling that the budgets actually are lower, no? But instead, if we look at the data for the summer and the autumn and the coming winter, people is traveling a lot, even with the higher budgets. So they are even more conscious, probably, that if you want that kind of service, also looking at sustainability and so on, of course, it is possible to spend something more. And they are really happy to do that if you give the service and really what you communicate to them. So I mean, the values are different than before COVID, and this is very, very good for hospitality industry, I believe, because profits are willing to be higher.
Do you think, Emanuele, because yes, I mean, during COVID, people had more money. They had more money to spend on travel. That right now you see maybe it goes the other way. Do you think that it will influence, in your perspective, sorry, putting you on the line now, in your perspective, it's going to change? Like, are they going to choose more carefully where to go to, or what do you think? Maybe Ali as well.
Well, post-COVID, everybody was thinking about people will decide about the health situations, the COVID situations around the different countries and so on. Of course, now that this problem seems to be far away, they are starting to do some other kind of reason, and they probably are thinking about, okay, where I go to East part, but the East part now Russia and so on is there is a bad situation, and all the destinations that are used by Russian have been affected by, of course, by this kind of reason. Okay, if you want to go on China and so on, I don't think so many people are willing to go there at the moment. So really they are careful about something else, and probably it is the one of the reason, one of the big most important reason is about the way of life. I mean, the style of the lifestyle, okay, that the country, about the country where they want to go in terms of looking at the experiences they want to have, looking at the food and wine, looking at these kind of things. So what really they can experience in the countries, even more than before COVID.
Ellie?
In terms of sustainability, so I kind of like lost where we got to. Yeah.
Travel budgets and sustainability coming together.
No, I don't. No, I think that people are. It's not how much they spend; it's what they spend it on. Is becoming far more important to people. I think it reflects this this real drive for matching values. So I think that will become more important. Obviously, there's going to be people who just are working on a budget because it's tight. The money is tight. But I think certainly post-COVID, you see people who maybe travel was seen as discretionary spend prior to that, and now it's actually the value proposition is I need a holiday and I'm determined to have that holiday and I want to spend it with the people I love. So I think, you know, if you marry that together, then I think destinations and certainly from a revenue management point of view, if you can curate the copy on a website to reflect everything that you do, which matches the experience that you're trying to offer to all of the people that you want to actually stay at your property, then I think there are great opportunities to really create that sort of one-to-one relationship with customers, right at the much closer maybe to the top of the funnel than we ever thought. So not necessarily just at that sort of at the booking stage, but certainly giving people a little bit more agency to understand what you do, make their own decisions, that type of thing. So yeah, interesting.
How does that change the customer segments? Does that change the customer segments?
This customer segment, has it changed? Yes, it has. But I think the segments are still identifiable. They are more, it's more now about understanding what that same customer segment might do when they get to you. So you have this merging of business and leisure, which people have been talking about for a while. I think it's more, certainly the corporate sector we know hasn't come back, and it's the likelihood of it coming back in the way that we used to see it is, I don't think it's going to happen in the same way. So segmentation in that order has changed, but it just means that you need to find the same people, but in a different way. So that's not very clear, but it's kind of as clear as I can get right now.
But I agree with you. But I think that the corporate travel already was diminishing prior to the pandemic, but it just like fast forwarded it because, I mean, we found out new ways of meeting. But do you find, Ellie, I'm sorry, I'm taking over now, Rita, but then do you find that maybe market segmentation needs to be more defined when it comes to the leisure travel? Because leisure, for a lot of hotels, revenue is leisure driven, but then what do we do in market segmentation? It's like, okay, leisure individual, leisure groups. But don't you find that you want to have like more information about a guest, also with thoughts of personalization? You would like to know which generation they belong to, how to talk to them. But do you see a change there?
Sorry, I do, but I think the real breakthrough is really to look at things from the customer perspective rather than the inward-focusing perspective of market segmentation that we have, which is driven by out-of-date ancient property management systems that are meaningless to the customer. If you can actually change the perspective and open up to what the customer wants, and the way the customer wants to buy things and the experience that they want, then you open up this whole ocean of opportunity to talk to customers. And I don't know that the revenue management community has really been in that space before. So I would say, don't worry too much about your classic, very blunt segmentation. Then look at how you can use technology to really communicate with the customer when they're on your website. So there's a bunch of technology out there now that you can get really engaged with. And so I would say look at more of a targeting of a customer and delivering and serving up pages that they want to see based on their previous activity on your own website. So I'm not good at customer segmentation from the revenue management perspective anymore. I think it just doesn't do it for where the guest wants to be.
Annemarie was jumping in for a moment, and I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
On what is the type of data do we need to collect, ages, etc. Or what is the new data set looking like? And then a little bit shifting into technology with that. What are the type of technologies that can capture and utilize that data and turning it into actual revenue, revenue figures, revenue insights? Anyone?
Okay.
Wants to-
We have a couple of sponsors that are kind of working in that space, but in different ways. So I would say if you look at the hotels network, if you look at Alara from Avio, if you look at Hotel Cloud, which looks at basically looking at the customer journey and what data you can collect as the customer comes across that journey. And then in terms of like the Gen Z, you have companies like Hopper who are just communicating solely through social media. And so I just think there's a whole load of stuff that you can be doing, which is way outside of what we've done before. So if that answers your question. Sorry.
No, I also think, again, on this hospital of personalization master, I think also the way we look at loyalty programs is like going to change completely. Like, okay, I think collecting points and then wait for a few years until you can get a free night. I think that is like for a lot of hotels a thing of the past. It's like all about like instant gratification, and I want you to give me something that is valid for me. So I think actually a good CRM is also one of the parts of technology that you might want to look at and see if you can just like enhance customer communication from your point of view.
What we are doing is suggesting, for instance, to look more and more at travel intentions data, traveling data that are coming from your hotel website, from your booking engine, for instance, and from the request of availability that hotels are still receiving, especially for the leisure market. So the CRM, for instance, are very important, as Annemarie was saying, not only because they allow you to profile better your guests and decide for new type of segments or something like that, but especially because they really give you some insights in terms of what the people want, what traveler wants, when they want to travel, and so decide better your strategies, your sales strategy and your pricing strategies.
That comes to your part. Can you tell us your team in Milan at the Hotel Revenue Forum and how it became the main concept for the event?
Yes, so the idea came to my mind reading a book about pricing, because reading this book, I really understood that, especially in the travel sector, pricing is not considered as well as it should, because the potential that it has in terms of profitability, increase the profitability, and so on, is really, really high. But I don't know, probably the problem is that people is so used to define pricing as a natural process in terms of I'm producing a service, I need to define a price, that probably they didn't take attention if the process they were doing is correct, or if it's possible, if it's possible to do something better. And of course it is. So we decided to look for a keynote speaker that can tell us the potential of the pricing, can tell us how pricing will be, is perceived into the mind of the people. So from the neurological aspect, of course, we will not have any experiments with brains and so on, and nothing. So it's very, very smooth. But we want to really talk with him in terms of which are the techniques of pricing and the techniques of sales techniques that we can apply in the tourism sector, especially in the hospitality one, to achieve better results in terms of performance, of course, and in terms of profits and profitability. So negotiation, sales activities, definition of the pricing, I mean, everything that is about decoy pricing and ensuring pricing. So these are the aspects that Kai Marcus Muller will talk about. And I mean, we are very happy. Also because this is linked to another point that is about increasing the profitability of the total revenue. That is the second topic of our conference. So pricing, and then sales techniques, and then the total revenue management and total revenue management optimization. Okay, that's what we define to do in Milan.
Nice. And that absolutely, while you were talking, I absolutely saw. I'm such a huge advocate for human and machine collaboration. So you exactly talked about the part where we need the human side, the psychological side that machines would not at the moment give to us necessarily, and then coming together with the technology that we are using. How and it is a question to Emanuele first, but feel free to jump in, all of you. How does the human and machine element come together when we are talking about total revenue management strategy, pricing strategy?
Well, first of all, we will cover also the aspect about the technological part in terms of machine, as there will be a session with Fulvio Giannetti from Libra that will tell us how algorithms into the machines are defined in order to help us to define the pricing. In this case, he will talk especially about which factors need to be considered into the algorithms in order to give the right price. And this is, I mean, very important because it's really, giving us the 360-degree of pricing, human, technologically, so machine, and so on. So about your question, as you were saying, I mean, there is nothing to leave to the machines in this moment, unless probably they can help us in doing better the calculations. Okay. But of course, then the sales techniques, and that's why we defined also to have another session about, for instance, the attribute-based selling. That is, sales technique. Okay, so it's really about how human can use those prices in the correct way in order to increase the conversion and increase the value of each sales, of each booking. So this is really what we think we need to work more. I mean, hoteliers need to work more in order to achieve the best result possible. Because in this moment, and especially during COVID, we understood that the demand will not increase forever, will not be higher and higher year after year. So we need to really optimize the demand that we have. And this means that we need to have a good strategy to attract it, but also a good strategy to convert it. So
I think if I may also add, I think something is also happening right now. You see that Google is moving in that direction. You have Hopper as a speaker, Ellie, at your event. And it's like notifying the guest when it's the best time to book. So Google has done this just for flights. They are doing this going to do this for hotels as well. It's like likes of Hopper, and I think as it is your speaker, Ali, you might just like explain a little bit more about them. Is also just like trying. I can do it otherwise. Trying to notify the guest. Okay, if you want to book this hotel, not now. Wait a little bit. Or yes, right now, because we see that they're increasing their prices, and they're using artificial intelligence to look at the patterns and look at how the various hotels are working with pricing. And I think when actually these kinds of notifications are coming, this might also have an impact in the way we price. Do we still just like do last minute dumping, to dumping of prices in order to just like try to attract last minute travelers? Because okay, the likes of Hopper are going and Google are going to say, well, wait a moment, they're going to drop it anyway, just 2 days in advance, something like that. So how are we going to react to that? It might be an interesting thing to see what is the impact of pricing on these kinds of technologies and these kinds of new trends.
if there was, I mean, you mentioned, I'm also an AI advocate to look at processes, revisit processes, as Emanuele said, and optimize them, and then see what is the technology available for that, what is there available as artificial intelligence to minimize those processes and involvement of human work in that. Just very quickly, top of your head, all the three of you, if you could magically invent something that would solve your challenges as a consultant or as a revenue management professional that doesn't exist, is there anything burning that we desperately need that we don't have, and would change our lives?
Spontaneously, could we have something that stops the time while I'm still working? I mean, I'd really like to have more than 24 hours in a day right now, but
From my side, it's not really necessarily tech. Well, it is tech. It's something that really brings that granularity of the marketing persona to revenue management really quickly and really easily, and also being able to respond to that in a way using revenue management principles. I think it's really trying to break out of the box in that fashion.
Stop the stylus.
Yeah, let's go back to that. The last decade. Oh my God.
Nice. Thank you, Emanuele.
Well, I agree with Ellie. Something that will, connect marketing figures with the revenue in order to give us more efficiently and rapidly suggestions about what to do in terms of distribution, in terms of pricing, in terms of campaigns that we can activate. So we are used to have pricing, mainly pricing systems, but these will need to, to become something bigger, something more, how can I say, complete in terms of giving us some suggestion about marketing and about sales.
And I might be very biased. Thank you so much, Emanuele. I might be very biased. I just grabbed my phone from the top of my head. Thank God I'm not a hotelier. And thank God I don't work at the reception front desk, because maybe because of the blurring, you cannot see. I have 3,000 plus emails without being read and answered. So if, for me,
One of those is mine.
You definitely need to put the times, yeah.
So yeah, if something can magically just like sort and answer my emails, world, just throwing it out there, Chat GPT, Google, whoever, wherever you are. Oh yes, there you go. Michael says the same. Can you make irrelevant emails evaporate? Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that's very, very relevant. And communication, and therefore I think it's also having a CRM and the right communication channels with your customers is so essential these days.
Yeah. I think when you ask me what kind of technology do you need, I mean, the role of a revenue manager has been so much broader. I definitely would like to have like some kind of technology that helps me just like incorporating total, but especially profit management. It's actually, I mean, we've been talking about that for years, but it is much more difficult than you think. Also, just like the communication with all the different departments, but also what you see is the massive search and digitalizations. Like, I think this is more and more going to be a role of a revenue manager, as massive search is a bit of the same kind of application as what you do on revenue management. So when do you need to have your announces which country, when on, how to just like handle the different types of budgets. I think that kind of technology would also be very nice for me, because it usually is with the digital department. So I'd like to have that access as well.
Yeah. And how do you see, for example, we haven't spoken about this yet, I think, hybrid work in hotels and internal working processes, apart that, Ali mentioned the communication between marketing and revenue management, but how do you see cooperation as part of the technology aspect, and as part of the outcome of processes and approaching the ideal guest experience, I guess.
Well, if you're asking if this like hybrid events is like internal communication, how that is affecting, I think actually you see that there's a lot of happenings like prior to pandemic to now. We now understand how to do these kinds of things. I think when it comes to technology that hotels need in order to just like help other companies just like hold digital meetings or hybrid meetings, I think you cannot have meeting rooms without just like the possibility of having just like some kind of hybrid participants into a meeting. So it will just like have an impact on the technology that they will need to buy in from a meeting perspective. I hope that answered your question. From my point of view.
Yes, very, very valid point. Yeah, yeah. I think we learned it the hard way as well, back a couple of years ago already. But that's on the list as well. Data needs it seems to resonate a lot with the audience. Hi, Custodio. The industry needs to understand better the data that it has, engage with partners who can bring the data into an intelligent way to ensure the business delivers more profit, above all guest satisfaction, without forgetting the human in hospitality. Yes, yes, and yes. I think that could be a description also for Global Revenue Forum. So guest experience. How do you see that in relation to revenue management? We spoke about segmentation. Yeah, kind of making the full circle 360. Emanuele, if you
Well, I don't. Well, in terms of in relation with revenue management, I don't know, because revenue management is not so known by the people, by the guests that are traveling and experiencing the hospitality. They just see the small part of our work that is a price, no? And then the price sometimes is higher than before, sometimes is lower, and they accept what you are going to price. And if it's okay for them, they will buy. Otherwise, they will not. In terms of automation, the guest experience, I think that with automation we can do a lot, because the expectations from the guests are changed. Today, even in the luxury hospitality sector, we can say that we can automate much more than before, and this is not something negative for people experiencing for the guests, because they are used to use technological things, and sometimes the willingness to have more privacy is really linked to the possibility to automate some process. So I think that there is really a lot to do in terms of automation and guest experiences. And of course, there are a lot of possibilities in terms of technology tools that already give this possibility. So we just need to understand and define what's the guest journey that we want into the hotel, and in that case, define and decide for the right tools to integrate into our processes. But really, there are lots of possibilities for the automation in order to automate without impacting negatively in the guest experience. At the contrary, you can have a positive impact on the guest experience at this moment.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have 100 more questions, and I think I just deep dive into certain things. But let's go back to the event, because time is running very, very quickly. Also, just spontaneously asking all the three of you, who is the one guest or speaker that you are most excited about, and the topics that you are most excited about within the event?
Well, for us in Italy, of course, the keynoter, Kai Markus Müller, and his keynote about pricing, that's for sure. But I'm really willing to hear the other Markus Müller, that is an anonymous, that will talk about ABS. attribute-based selling, of course,
Personalization.
so personalization, a new technique of sales, something that can disrupt the way that we are used to sell, and I mean with the already implementations about that. So it's really, I mean, really interesting, at least for my points. These are my preferred ones, and I hope that the others won't complain about my suggestions, of course. But okay.
I think I'm really looking forward to Natalie Nahai, who's our keynote as well. Natalie's done a lot of work in terms of pricing psychology again, so it matches the Italian keynote really well, but she's also dived a lot more deeper into how what we think and how our values are structured actually direct us to make pricing decisions. So I think there is a lot to be done in that area. So it's not just a case of pricing psychology in terms of price anchoring, price nudging, decoy pricing, that kind of thing, where there's a lot of work that can be done anyway in revenue management, which I think has been completely missed. The retail sector is doing that a lot. But I think also this pricing, behavioral science of pricing, which she is going to talk about, is going to be brilliant. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Annemarie?
Well, we are starting off the day half an hour in advance. We're going to get the former Prime Minister of Sweden he's going to be interviewed. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Unfortunately, for the non-speaking Swedes, that part is going to be in Swedish. Well, of course, I mean, the ones that we invite that we really are most excited about are usually the keynote speakers. So we're going to kick off with a keynote speaker. It's called Oliver Rolander, and he speaks a lot about a lot of subjects. What I've asked him to talk about is leadership, because I really do think that, especially if you want to just like try to do more with less people, the way you get your people to still just like the job and still want to go there, and without feeling too much stress, without just like feeling too much of a hassle on the day-to-day job, is quite important. He apparently is an energy kick, so it's going to be nice to kick off the day with a little bit of energy with him as well.
Yeah, and it's so important. I mean, as a representative of RaizUp as well, we see and we revisited this subject with revenue hacks throughout 2022 so many times, that there are people who are still living the effect of COVID. People are having a burnout so quickly, changing roles. The market is the employment market is very competitive. So the way we look at how to employ people, how to approach new kind of audiences when it comes to pulling people into hospitality, but also keeping the people within the industry and motivating them, it has changed so much. So we actually, Custodio is here, who hosted a number of episodes last year. We kept on, even though we spoke about different areas within hotel management, we kept on talking about qualified employees, how we can get people into the industry, and change our mindset as well. We are hospitality as an industry, and how to be hospitable and stay hospitable in this challenging world, right? Oh my gosh, if you have any questions, we have some comments here. Hi Karina. So of course, Gauvendi jumped in. Dermot, thank you so much for coming back. Yanis, who is actually getting one of our sponsorship tickets as a young leader to the London event. Custodio, who would definitely jump in. I saw Michael, Beatrice from the US. If you have any questions, last questions for the organizers, feel free to pop it in now. I ask you to revisit after the show the questions as well. Any last comments that you want to share with the audience at this point? Annemarie?
No, I really hope that you all know, she says, and then just enters the hope. I really hope that you're going to visit either London, either Milan, either Stockholm, or just online. We promise you a whole day of nice inspiration.
I say the same.
Emanuele.
Just following up on the same.
Great,
Well,
thank you.
I mean, we did something great. I believe that we did something great. Managing 3 different events into one coordinated, unique event is not that easy. Probably we won't be perfect, but we are true. And we are really committed to bring high-level contents to this conference. So I hope, as Annemarie said, that people will join the conferences either in Stockholm or in London, in Milan, or either online as they prefer, because we really trust that it will be a fantastic day, a fantastic conference.
Great.
Agree.
Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you.
are
Pleasure.
actually continuing the conversation next week as the part 2 of the special with some of the speakers of the event, again moderated by my humble self, and I look forward to seeing everyone online or at a hybrid location at the Global Revenue Forum. And I'm just going to have a quick look around who was very, very active. Of course, Custodio is of course getting a ticket here, bringing back hospitality. Federica is going to be a speaker at the event. Beatrice, you are more than welcome to join us online. So I will send you an exclusive online access to the event. And I see Jaina being very, very active. So expect a chat from me after the show. And I hope you will enjoy that full day online again or in person. So thanks again to everyone for joining in, and let's continue the conversation next week on the 17th of February at 3:30 p.m. Central European time, 6:30 p.m. Dubai time, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Bye.
Rita.
Bye.
Thank you.
Rita.
We're holding on for something more, and this is what came